The yogi who brings together breath, thought, and semen becomes the indestructible one, or immortal, endowed with transcendental spontaneity. First of all, Kalachakra Tantra, one of the most important texts, arguably the most important text of Vajrayana, the northern Buddhism and the Tibetan Buddhism. The text itself, even it's quite substantial. It's a shorter version that was written by, you can say, almost a deity, the king of Shambhala, who is considered a very elevated Buddha. Kala means time, like Kali, and chakra, like the chakras, means wheel. So it's the wheel of time representing a certain cyclicity. And the text itself describes the different cycles of time, of astrology, the big movements of the yugas, and so forth. But more than that, it describes very in-depth spiritual practices. The essence of the text is the essence of Buddha's message, the Four Noble Truths, and the fourth being that there is a way to be free from suffering and to have an insight into the impermanence of everything in reality. The chapters of this book, briefly. The first chapter speaks about the outer Kalachakra, the cosmos, the birth and death of the universe. The death of the universe is called a Mahapralaya. So if you got attached to the universe, guys, it's temporal, it's going to disappear. If you take the Kalachakra as an authority, also the universe has an end. It is described very much in detail how the solar system disappears, how everything disappears, how consciousness, the individual, and so forth. It is a certain process, very beautifully described, of absorption. And you can think, why do they bother describing that? Is a very particular reason behind it. The second chapter, the inner Kalachakra, the inner universe, the anatomy of man. The body, the subtle structure, and with great detail, it distincts the four different states of consciousness: wakefulness, called Jagarat, dream, Svapana, but also all the mind wandering, Shushupti, as the deep silence that we have when we have sleep without dream, but also the deep silence of meditation without thought, and finally the ultimate state of consciousness, Turiya, the state of pure consciousness. The third chapter describes the preparation for the meditation, the fourth, the practices of the yoga, and the fifth, what happens when you get enlightened on this path of Kalachakra. You can see the mandala itself of Kalachakra. The Buddhists make very big and very important Kalachakra rituals. It is said if you do this ritual once successfully with all its stages, you are enlightened and liberated, you are free. But it's a very difficult practice. You have to visualize all sorts of Buddhas and you have to do it in great detail. The Dalai Lama himself conducts some of these rituals. Now let's look at the quote and from it understand the erotic side of the Kalachakra, the erotic alchemy of Kalachakra. There are three quotes. We'll touch one and a bit. Quote says like this: breath, thought, and semen, sperm, but it is also for the women. The creative potential are the three constituents of enlightenment, or of the enlightenment potential. They should be harmonized and consciously controlled. The yogi who brings together breath, thought, and semen becomes the indestructible one, or immortal, endowed with transcendental spontaneity. How sweet! Transcendental spontaneity, not transcendental boredom. So, these three, if you look in the vast jungle of life, and you want to get enlightened, you want an end to suffering, an end to illusion, you want to see the real truth of things. You had enough of seeing things through the lens of society. You want to see reality as an awake and vertical person. You want to be free from suffering, free from vices. Where do you search? Kalachakra tells us, search in these 3 places. In your breath, in your mind, and in your creative potential. And once you get acquainted, and you need to get very conscious of the mind, the breath, and the creative potential, once you get acquainted to them, you bring them together. What does it mean? It means you start to breathe from your genitals and think from your genitals. If it was like this, so many people think from their genitals, we would have swarms of enlightened beings. There would be no place in heaven, the heaven of the Buddhas for everybody that's coming. They would have to build another universe for them. No, it doesn't mean a descending of our breath and of our mind down to our genitals, but rather an ascending, an alchemy of the creative potential of our sexual fluids that can become food for the elevated aspects of our being. So it means a rising of the creative potential and a triple silencing, a kind of orgasmic repause. To repause, everything stops in a void, shunya, as it is called in Buddhism. There is a kind of cessation of what? The Kalachakra, of the cyclic movement of all these. All these enter a very vivid and potent stillness, a void, an orgasmic void. And then they unite. The essence of the creative potential is the power to create life. The sexual potential can create life. But its movement, when it mixes with our ego, is agitated. If you silence it by lifting it, the potential itself becomes bliss. And you have, and this practices, very long orgasmic sensations, expanded way beyond your body. And this happens when? When the mind and the breath are silent as well. As you bring these 3 together in a silent orgasmic hiatus, the potential of enlightenment is revealed, and you enter not a faraway transcendence, but a spontaneous transcendence, in which you flow freely. If you can do this, you don't need to be afraid of the world. If you master also your creative potential, you live as a spontaneous, enlightened being, and not as a withdrawn monk. It's a very important aspect that can be attained through the Kalachakra. To give you just one more quote that describes a bit the alchemy, I'll just give it as a quote and speak shorter about it. The lotus flower, the sex organ of the partner, the yoni or the vagina, is an ocean filled with bliss. Yeah, you don't find it in so many other scriptures of so many other religions. This lotus flower is also a transparent place where the thought of enlightenment can rise up. When it is united with the scepter, the male organ, it's this wand that kings have, the mixture is compared to an elixir produced from the combination of myrrh and nutmeg. From their union, a pure knowledge arises which explains the nature of all things. So, the female organ, the yoni, has the power as a transparent place. If you plant on it, it is the most fertile soil. Whatever seed you grow there, you will have life, a baby. If you put there the seed thought of enlightenment, that will be the life of enlightenment. The man gives the seed of thought of enlightenment, and the woman gives the gift, the life of enlightenment, the elixir. And this union, once it is attained, one understands, explains the nature of all things. It is the source of wisdom if it is done correctly. In the third quote, I just mentioned here, I'll just take the end of the quote. These practices should not be abused, or else they will push one into the hells of sickness and confusions. Adepts should take care to act correctly in these potent practices. It is very, very important. You're really playing with fire, and if you're just inventing something very improvised and you do tantric practices in a selfish way, in a heartless way, in a way in which your mind is not focused, you haven't been trained, you didn't open your energy channels, it is completely not the case. You have to prepare very well before you reach these tantric practices, so the text also warns us here. So this is about the Kalachakra, and now we will hear about the text Tantra Loka from the tradition of Kashmir.
Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.